Alright guys, it's LazyBeast here with a updated UI video for you today. So if you like the look of my UI, you can copy it and just use the import strings for the add-ons that I'm using that you can find in the description below. You can paste those into the game and just hit the ground running if you want to use the same UI as me. So if you've seen any of my UI videos before, you'll know that I was using ElvUI, but this time I wanted to move away from that with the whole new Blizzard revamped UI and just see if I could make it work and see what options there were. Now I will say that the base UI is a nice improvement overall, and it's good that you can move things around, but there's definitely some things that I think they really need to add, such as being able to fade bars out, your action bars I'm talking about, and make them show on mouse over only, or being able to move absolutely everything, including the bag bar and the options menu. Like, why can't you move those? That should have been a thing that was in from the start. So there's a few things that I wish that you could change, so I had to resort to using a few add-ons. So like I say, any add-ons that I'm using that have import strings available will be in the description below, so just check for those. Now the exception is Bartender. It seems that you cannot export your profile for Bartender, so what I'll do is I'll just show you where I've put my bars in the editing mode, and then you can copy from there if you wish to do so, and you might give yourself some ideas for your UI. Okay, so that was the first add-on that I used. I thought I needed to get this in my life, is Bartender. So you can keep the same look of the Blizzard UI, even you can keep the UI art on, the little griffins or wyverns at the bottom if you're Horde of Alliance, and you can tweak it however you like. So you can have the bars grow into columns too, and not just rows, which is something that I feel should have also been part of the base UI from Blizzard. And you got this bar down here, for example, that I've stacked differently. I've got it fading into some columns, and it fades away when I don't need it. I just use this for like my utilities and things that I don't need to really have keybound, like my hearthstone. So you sometimes put my mounts on there, and it just fades away, so you can forget about it, but it's always there when you need it. So here's the XP or rep bar. So when we get into Dragonflight, when it launches, the XP bar will be just here, just above this rep bar. Obviously the rep bar will go away if you decide not to track one. It'll go away. You can have it totally fade away if you want to. So for Bartender, you just type /Bartender, easier said than done, and then you can just customize all your bars. So if I click on the thing here on the minimap icon, any green bits are where I've put Bartender things. So the micro menu and the bag bar was stuck down there, which obviously conflicted with my DPS meters and healer meters, so I needed to get them moved. So I put them up there and made them fade out all the time. They just show on mouse over. And on my druid, I've got my stance bar up here too, because I've got all my stances just keybound, so that doesn't need to be visible all the time. You can see the pet bar I've got there, so for any hunters or warlocks or anyone with a pet, that just goes there, because again, you don't really need to click this that much, it's just handy to have. So that also fades out all the time unless you mouse over it. Q status is there, you can put that wherever you want. That's just the dungeon finder icon. And then the extra action bar, I've moved that over here. That's for like your garrison ability, for example. If that's not on your action bars, it'll just go to this extra action button. Or if you're in a boss fight, for example, it'll put the extra button there if there is one. That's just out of the way. Now I know that you might be thinking, why is the XP bar and the rep bar on top and not underneath, as it will be with the normal Blizzard UI? I just figured that sometimes you're not always tracking a rep, and when you're max level, you don't have an XP bar. So if this was underneath, then you end up with just like a gap down here, which is just kind of wasted space. So I just thought, knock everything down. I'm not usually always tracking a rep, so that's not even there most of the time. And then when you get to max level, it'll be gone. And then my unit frames, I'll get into these in a sec. I'll probably drop them down here as well and just have them neatly sort of stacked on top, so it'll look even neater. So for the unit frames, now the Blizzard ones did look really nice again, but I just thought there's more things that I want to track on there. I don't really use the personal resource display that shows up here that's part of the Blizzard UI as well, so I wanted to track things easier, like my shards there. So I went for shadowed unit frames. It's an add-on I've used in the past and it's really good. ElvUI obviously sorted it out when I had that, but these was the next best thing. So I've got the target, obviously, got the portraits, you don't need to have that. To get into the options on that, type /SUF, that'll bring the options up. Go into general, you can lock the frames or unlock them. So that's where I've got everything at the minute. So my party's down here. Don't worry about all these buffs, there'll never be that many buffs. I've got it tracking only ones that I can cure, for example. So if I'm healing, I've not got loads of random buffs showing up that don't really mean anything to me. It just shows the ones that I can cure. So it's just the useful information shown. I spent ages in these settings just tweaking everything. So for example, if you go into player, you go into frame, tweak all the settings there. Let's just lock them again. So, you know, tweaking all these options, these are both the same, so it just looks nice. Again, so for example, if you didn't want to see these random buffs on people, say you're not that bothered what, you know, tabard the guy's got on, just go into your target and auras and then buffs, general. You can totally disable them if you want to, but it is kind of handy to have. So filters, you know, so any other auras You can see it showing the buff there, so it's kind of easy to track. We have also got weak auras installed there, which is also going to give us the majority of our information when we're in combat. So now we're in combat, you can see that I've got my pet down there. I've got this faded out again because it's quite obvious if you've got your pet out or not. Just ignore my rotation here, I'm talking. I can't multitask, so it's going to be terrible. I'm just showing you combat for the sake of it. So I've got my pet down there. You don't really need to see what energy he's at and all that sort of stuff. It doesn't really matter. So you could just disable the energy bar if you wanted to. For a hunter with a pet with focus, it might be a bit more relevant to have that option there, but again, you can just toggle that on or off. And you could also disable his portrait. Now, there is a bit of a, I don't know if it's a bug or it's intended, but when I don't have something targeted and when I'm not in combat, the portrait for me and my pet does still show, so I do think that is just a bug. You can see it's not faded away. You could, if you're going to use this, you could just disable the 3D portrait, make it a 2D one, or just disable the portrait altogether. So again, it's quite easy to do. Go into player, go into general, disable the portrait, and you can see that's gone. So when you're not in combat, it's just nice and clean. I did have a macro as well to hide the DPS meters. Again, this is just details. It's my favourite DPS tracking add-on. It can track pretty much everything, interrupts, deaths, all that sort of stuff. So keeping with that one. And then next up, the only thing that I wanted to tweak a bit more was the nameplate. So I used to use threat plates. You probably see that from my last UI video, but it was recommended quite a lot to go with plater, so that's what I've gone with this time. So I've got plater. Again, you can export your import strings for this. So personally, I'm going to be playing quite a lot of Feral Druid and Affliction Warlock and Demonology Warlock. So having these showing your dots nice and clearly was quite important to me. So again, ignore the rotation here, it will not be good. So yeah, I just wanted to get something that would show the dots nice and clear. I can tweak which ones that I wanted to show and not show. But yeah, being able to keep track of the dots is obviously quite a key thing with Affliction. So yeah, that's why I opted to go for this. And obviously you can see in the middle there, we've got the weak auras, pretty standard. I'm just using a generic, imported one from Wago.io. If you're coming back to the patch, you're not played it yet, you probably will need to reinstall all your weak auras because they'll change likely quite a lot. Now, the only thing I may tweak as a caster is the cast bar. So you can see I'm just using the Blizzard standard one still. It's in a bit of a scuffed place, it should really be more here. But another option for that to use is Quartz, which is a really good cast bar add-on. Again, very customizable. You can change the colours. It does nice things like showing you ticks, or like now, when I'm casting Drain Stall rather than just a static bar, it'll show me the breakpoints of when the spell will tick. So it's just good to know things like that, because if you've got to move, for example, you might want to squeeze one more tick in before you can move. So I probably will install that. But if you get some weak auras, like a full class weak aura set, you do often find there's usually a cast bar also within the weak auras. So you could just disable the cast bar entirely and use that. Another one as well, I did opt to keep the minimap. It's, you should be able to resize this, but it seems that you can't, so it is what it is. But it's nice that it shows you the, your location and the time, and obviously the calendar is quite easy to access there. So that is basically the gist of my UI and what I've changed. Let me know what you think of it in the comments below, and if you're going to use it yourself, feel free to just copy those import strings below for plater and for shadowed unit frames. And if you need any help, just ask me in the comments, I'll do my best to give you a hand. And just a quick note as well on updating and installing add-ons. The easiest way is to use the CurseForge one. You can install this without installing Overwolf as well, which I know a lot of people would probably opt to do. So that's what I've done personally. Just install the CurseForge client, ignore the Overwolf bit, and you're pretty much good to go. It's just the fastest and easiest way of keeping add-ons installed and updated. So there we go, guys. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope that you're getting on alright with your UI in Dragonflight pre-patch and it's not letting you tear your hair out. And that pretty much wraps up this video, guys, so let me know what you think of the UI in the comments, and if you do have any questions or need some help, then just let me know and I'll give you a hand as best I can in the comments there. If you've got any other suggestions or tweaks for the UI that you think would help anybody, then also leave them in the comments below. And with that said, guys, I hope you're enjoying the pre-patch. I've been LaserBeast, and I'll catch you next time. Consider leaving a like on the video if you did enjoy it, and I'll subscribe if you found it helpful for more videos like this about World of Warcraft and Dragonflight going forward. Take care, guys. See you next time. Cheers.